Alright, let's go over weight management real quick. And this is probably what I get the most questions on throughout the day. So I always have people coming in and, ask me what they should do because they've gotten this advice off of TV or off the internet. And it's really pretty basic. I mean, you're going to see a lot of these other programs out there that are trying to get you to adopt their method, of course, because they want money. It's pretty simple. It's all about calories in, calories out. And you don't need to get too complicated with it. And it's alright if you're interested and you want all that information. But if you'll keep it pretty simple, just calories in, calories out, keep track of them. Try to find out how many calories it takes for you to maintain your weight, and then make some adjustments. That's the reason I have you doing the food log, is so that you can get a rough estimate. And once you have a rough estimate of how many calories it takes for you to maintain your weight, then you can adjust it. So let's say, let's not do anything dramatic, but let's say calories in, and we reduce that, so we're going to drop this down by about 300. That's not much. I mean, most say that's maybe 2 bottles of cola, or a large glass of juice, or some sugary drink, or something that has a lot of calories in it. That's not much. 300 calories is not much to take out, especially if you snack a lot during the day. And let's increase the amount of exercise we're going to do and burn 300 calories. And that's not a lot. I mean, that's going out. You could probably walk 3 miles, and that doesn't all have to be at one time. You do 1.5 miles at one part of the day, and 1.5 miles at the second part of the day. And this is all based, of course, on how much you weigh. The more you weigh, the more you're working when you do activity. So if you're ever on a treadmill and it tells you you're burning so many calories, if you didn't enter your weight, it could be more or it could be less depending on how much you weigh. Anyway, I'm getting off track. So let's say we've decreased the amount of calories we've taken in by 300, and we started to work out, so we increased that by 300. So that's 600 calories there that we've changed, that we have lost in some way, either by not taking them in or by burning them. Multiply that by 7 days a week. Let's say we're consistent with it, and all we're doing is walking here. We're not running. You wouldn't have to do this running. It's going to equal 4,200 kcals, or calories. Same thing as calories. So it takes 3,500 to burn 1 pound of fat off of our body. So we've already burned at least a pound, over a pound for that week. And that's what is recommended. About 1 to 2 pounds per week is healthy weight loss. So this is considered healthy. Anything over that, you run the risk of using up some of your lean mass, tapping into your lean mass and burning up muscle. We don't want to do that. So we want to make sure it's healthy. So that's 1 to 2 pounds a week is what we should shoot for when we're trying to lose weight. That's something that most people can maintain, and if you'll start with something that you can maintain, you're more likely to stick with it. Let's talk a little bit about muscle mass and how that helps us. Why would we want to do some resistance training along with it? So we talked about just walking up there, but the muscle mass will boost our metabolism. So it's going to increase our metabolism. So let me give you a rough idea of what I mean by that. This is my attempt at a pie chart here. So about, for the average person, now this varies, I should say 70 to 75, depending on how much lean mass you have, because that's going to speed up your metabolism. So about 70 to 75% of the calories you burn in a day come from your metabolism. So the more lean mass you have, the more calories you burn just sitting around. Even when you're doing nothing, you would burn more than the average person if you had a little bit more lean mass than the average person. So the more muscle mass you have, the easier it is to burn up those excess calories. The other 24% is from activity, and then there's this little 1% in here. That's from thermogenesis, keeping your body warm, digestion, all that good stuff. So that's why muscle is so important, because the more muscle mass you have, the more calories you're burning just sitting around, and the more calories you'll burn when you're active. So when you're out walking, running, whatever you're doing, you'll burn more calories than the average person if you have more lean mass than the average person. Let's talk a little bit about starvation diets and why those are bad. So not taking in enough calories to maintain the muscle mass that you have. So if you don't take in enough calories, what will happen is your body will say, hey, we need some calories. And it's going to go after your muscle. And it's going to burn up what muscle you have. So that way when you finally do start eating again, and you may say to yourself, oh, I'm not eating as much as I used to, but I'm still gaining weight. How can that be? How can that happen? Well, what's happened is you've hurt your metabolism. You've burned up your lean mass. You've used it as a fuel source. Not all of it, of course, but a big chunk of it. And it's hurt your metabolism. And what could happen is now instead of burning 70-75% just sitting around, you're only burning 60%. And the other 39% is going to have to be through exercise, meaning you're going to have to exercise more. But eventually that will change because you would start putting on muscle mass. But this could happen right after a starvation diet. So you could eat the same amount. Let's say you were eating 2,500 calories here, and then when you got off your starvation diet, you went back to eating 2,500 calories here, and then you start ballooning up and gaining weight and storing fat. It's because you've hurt your metabolism, and your body doesn't know when it's going to get its next meal, so it starts to store all available energy it can. But it's mainly because you've hurt your metabolism. So I hope this helps on weight management. If you'll just make these simple changes, start burning, and it doesn't have to be 300. I'm just giving you a rough estimate. If you can burn about 300 a day and take in 300 less, you could really make some dramatic changes here. And over time, you'll really start to notice a big difference in your weight. And this is something easy. It's not something drastic. It's something easy that you can stick with. And if you're consistent, it'll definitely help you out. So I hope this helped you understand weight management in some pretty simple terms.